Penguin Random House Audio presents The Patient's Playbook, How to Save Your Life and the Lives of Those You Love. This is the author, Leslie Michelson.
Forward. As the chief of surgery of a major hospital, I find I spend more and more of my time helping people navigate the healthcare system. I've been practicing medicine for more than 40 years. My father was a surgeon, and I come from a family of doctors. So when someone asks, who should I see for my medical problem, I'm in a good position to guide them. But even with all of my contacts, I sometimes find it very hard to come up with the right answer. It often requires a considerable amount of research and persistence on my part. It can be especially frustrating when a close friend or family member is struggling with a health problem, so I can certainly imagine how scary and puzzling it is for the majority of patients who must confront serious medical issues without the benefit of insider knowledge. Leslie Michelson captures this dilemma with great insight in The Patient's Playbook, How to Save Your Life and the Lives of Those You Love. Successfully steering a serious health problem through the medical system can be a challenge. In The Patient's Playbook, Michelson gives away secrets of the trade, lessons he's learned from more than 30 years of helping people get better outcomes, that you can use yourself. He levels the playing field by providing average patients who have ordinary health insurance and internet access, or an internet-savvy friend, with the resources, advice, and tools they need to make better medical decisions and achieve optimal results. I found The Patient's Playbook to be enlightening, helpful, and full of sound recommendations. The guidance Michelson offers is well documented and expertly informed, based on the latest evidence from outcomes research and comparative effectiveness studies. And to this he adds good old common sense. The Patient's Playbook is engrossing, suspenseful, exciting, and reassuring. It grabs your attention with compelling stories that at times read like a detective thriller. Those stories yield practical ideas that show you how to prepare for a life of better care. And you don't have to be wealthy or connected to get there. My surgeon father used to say that the cheapest medicine is the best medicine. In other words, getting the diagnosis and the treatment right is the least expensive way to take good care of patients and get the best results in the long run. Michelson follows this same mantra. Throughout The Patient's Playbook, he provides instructions for obtaining high-quality care on the first try. For example, he points out that the first step in any treatment decision is making sure you have the correct diagnosis. This is crucial. As an oncologist at a major cancer center, I see patients come in all the time with a diagnosis and set of treatment recommendations that I find, upon my own review, just don't fit. Occasionally we find their disease is much worse than was thought, but most often we find that people don't need as much treatment or surgery as they were initially told. These experiences affirm something the author emphasizes in the book. Be cautious, consult with experts, and think twice before you dive into treatment. None of us are perfect, and physicians can make mistakes or overlook things, but the majority of us try to do our very best every day. Still, the idea of accepting whatever your doctor says without question makes no sense. I've always considered it perfectly appropriate for my patients to ask questions, challenge statements, and seek out second opinions. The Patient's Playbook walks you through this process, demonstrating how to partner with your physician in an empowering and respectful way. In fact, one of the most important things that Michelson points out is that most of the major medical centers and doctors who are the prominent leaders in their fields take insurance and Medicare. If you need an operation and you're covered by Medicare, for essentially no cost out of your pocket, you can go to one of the most distinguished surgeons in your field of need. So why wouldn't you go to the best? This is a mistake that many people are prone to make. A case comes to mind of a patient who suffered from an abnormal heartbeat, a complicated arrhythmia. When he had to be admitted to the local community hospital several times, I encouraged him to come to the medical center in Houston, where I was working, to see a world-class cardiologist. He refused. He was comfortable with his hometown doctors, who were friendly and attentive, and he didn't see the point. He eventually had another arrhythmia and died at his small-town hospital because his doctors couldn't manage it. This was a man who had his own plane and wouldn't think anything of flying his family to France for a week's vacation, yet he wouldn't go the distance to see the best physician for his condition. Michelson implores readers to bring the same scrutiny and judgment to a medical decision that they would to buying a car, finding a good place to live, or selecting the right school for their children. If you, like the arrhythmia patient, are facing a serious illness, the decisions you make about your medical care will have a profound impact on you and your family's life, and they deserve at least as much attention and consideration. Some patients take their responsibility very seriously, examining every possible option. But when it's time to make a decision about treatment, they become extremely anxious. They worry, am I getting this right? Have I done everything I need to do? The patient's playbook gives you the power to take a deep breath, do your research very carefully, and then break down what seems like a complicated, hopeless problem into a series of steps that you can tackle in a reasonable amount of time with a reasonable amount of effort. As a patient, you have more power than you think. This book will help you find that power and use it to maximum advantage. Don't underestimate the impact you can have on the healthcare system. You have a profound influence on the system every time you choose a physician network to be involved in, a specialist to see, or a hospital to visit. You have life-defining choices and a proactive part to play. But it takes becoming an informed medical consumer to get it right. You can do it. And you don't have to be wealthy, or have a doctor in your family, or close connections in the medical field. Keep this book close at hand as a family medical reference. I think you'll find it helpful, as I certainly have, in navigating your way through the system. It is a wonderful guide to help you make wise, well-informed decisions that will lead to a life of better health. Peter T. Scardino, M.D., Chair, Department of Surgery, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
Introduction. How to Save a Life. By the time Catherine came to me for help in the spring of 2012, the healthcare system had pretty much destroyed her health. I've been diagnosed with this condition, she began. It's called Churg-Strauss. They want to do surgery in a few weeks to confirm that I have it. Normally, this 53-year-old management professional lights up a room with her grace and vitality. Today was different. 3 different doctors had just told her that she likely had a rare and fatal autoimmune condition. Churg-Strauss syndrome typically develops in 3 stages, starting with severe asthma and allergies. Next, the immune system fails, manifesting as fatigue, coughs, abdominal pain, and gastrointestinal bleeding. In the 3rd phase, the arteries and veins become so inflamed that blood can't get to vital organs, causing all sorts of nasty symptoms: nausea, vomiting, chest pain, shortness of breath, and numbness in the toes and fingers so bad that you can't walk. All the major organs, lungs, skin, heart, kidneys, muscles, and joints are attacked. Researchers aren't sure what causes Churg-Strauss, and there's no cure. But treatment, corticosteroids to start, and if it progresses, chemotherapy, can help keep the final stage at bay. Catherine, not her real name. Patients' names and some identifying characteristics have been changed throughout the book. Catherine had long suffered from asthma, fatigue, and coughing, but recent bouts of pneumonia, urinary tract infections, and gastroesophageal reflux disease, searing heartburn so bad that she couldn't eat or sleep, Set off.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?